Have any of you guys seen the hit show on Netflix called Narcos? The show follows the life of Pablo Escobar, a billionaire drug dealer who made a huge impact on both America and Colombia. I found the television series so interesting that I decided to write my speech on Pablo Escobar. My purpose of my speech is to inform the audience on who Pablo Escobar is and why I find his life so interesting. Pablo Escobar lived a life of crime and generosity that can be broken down into his rise to power, his peak, and the alternate life he lived as Robin Hood. I will begin by telling you who Pablo Escobar is. Pablo Escobar had a long life of crime before he became the king of coke. According to Britannica's article on Pablo Escobar, Amy T. Cannon writes, he was born on December 1st, 1949 in Colombia. He was born into a poor family, so from the start, Pablo knew he wanted to be successful and developed an ambitious lifestyle. His criminal career started when he was a teenager. He began by selling tombstones and reselling them before he became involved with more serious crimes such as stealing cars and selling contraband. He soon realized that in order to attain the most wealth and power, he should begin by selling cocaine. His plan was simple at first. He would get the coca leaves, which is where cocaine is derived from, where he would make them and begin selling them to America and more specifically Miami. As the business became more successful and the money flow increased, he needed more workers, which is how the Medellin cartel formed. This was a group of drug dealers who came together with Pablo as their leader. This cartel which has led to ultimately to Pablo's peak. Pablo began a cocaine craze in the United States. In an article written by Jeremy McDermott entitled The Evolution of Colombia's Drug Trade, he writes about how the transportation of cocaine in the beginning for Pablo incorporated easy things such as going small amounts on commercial airplanes. But as the demand increased, he had to start selling the drugs through private airplanes that Pablo sometimes even drove himself from Colombia to America. So as the demand increased, he had to do more creative ideas. Pablo's wealth ever increased as the demand increased in America. So in order to keep up with all his wealth, he had to start hiding all his cash, which was an excessive amount, so he would bury holes of ditches and put the cash inside. Britannica also states that, according to some reports, he was worth approximately $25 billion, which supported a lavish lifestyle that included a 7,000-acre estate in Colombia, where he housed giraffes, hippopotamuses, and camels, among other animals. Although he did have extreme wealth, he also had to deal with the authorities. So the authorities in Colombia were easy to deal with because he could corrupt them easily and buy them out. But in America, they were more hard. He stuck to his signature saying of plata o plomo, which meant money or lead. So he either would buy them off with bribes and such, or he would hire a hitman to kill them. Although he does seem like a horrible person, he also had many other traits to him that helped him become known as Robin Hood, where he would give back to the poor. One of the aspects that I find about Pablo Escobar the most interesting is the parallel drawn between Pablo and Robin Hood. There are many different sides to Pablo. There's the side that's ruthless and eager for money and power hungry, or there's the side of him that gives back to the poor, and he did this by doing various philanthropic efforts. In Jenna Bally in Robin Hood or Villain, the social construction states, he also funded social programming and housing projects to benefit the poor, such as Barrio Pablo Escobar, as it is called today, a neighborhood he had constructed in Medellin to house the poor living in the city's dump that still has nearly 13,000 residents. So as you can see, Pablo led a very long legacy that still lives on today. In conclusion, Pablo Escobar was one of the most influential and powerful drug dealers the world has ever seen. In this speech, I've informed watchers of who Pablo Escobar was, how he achieved his rise to power, what his peak incorporated, and his other sides of having both being cruel and being like Robin Hood. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a great night.
You did it!
Yeah.
Bye.